So why do we talk about the 5-year roadmap? Is what we want you guys to be doing is as you successfully enter the workforce, we want you to be looking ahead. We want you to start looking at where to go next. I've done several college interviews, and I always love these. I always get a smile when the person I'm meeting with, pick your favorite language. We'll do Java, and they'll come up, and then we'll interview them, and they'll say, I'm an expert at Java, right? I know the API, ask me any question. So I have a few questions to humble people on those. But more importantly, it's really less about Java and how do we make well-rounded software developers, and how do we start getting you guys to look at the real tools and techniques that you need to refine to be better overall developers, and throw language away, right? Most of the tools and concepts we're going to talk about apply outside of or to all languages or to concepts, right? And so we really want to get you thinking of these concepts, get you looking at pushing into these realms, because you don't get good at them by just trying them once. A lot of these concepts, it took me years of trying and playing with them and refinement to get better at it. So we've put these out there. So the first topic that we try to get people to understand is design patterns. And so there's a famous book that we all refer to as the Gang of Four. I didn't bring it in here. I should maybe go grab it.
Yeah, we'll get it next time. We'll put the notes.
Oh, hold on. It's amazing. I forgot we can share screens every once in a while. I wonder if Gang of Four will even work if I search it. No, that didn't work. All right.
It's you just go to Wikipedia, Brian. Just go to Google.
I think I have the link in here. Hold on. Oh, I got it. There it is on Amazon. Right. So feel free to share my screen if you want.
Hold on. I'd pull the Wikipedia page up.
All right, hold on. I think I have it right here.
Your addresses in there.
There's a link. Oh, nope. Hold on.
Go to Google. No, Google. Watching Brian type is painful sometimes.
The lesson learned is he should do it.
There's a book. It has it's the.
There it is. There we go.
All right. Here, now I'm sharing. So this book is I'll say the Bible of design patterns.
Yes.
It was the original book. It's
I don't remember the year it was written, but
it says right there, 1994.
All the examples are actually, I think it's C++.
Yeah. And most books nowadays are just derived from this. It's the same concepts or combinations of these core
all
patterns.
they do is combine them in different combinations and call it a new book and sell it to you, so don't buy it.
Yeah. This is the core patterns here. It's a great book from the standpoint of having it as a reference and being able to open it up when you have a problem. If you want to put yourself to sleep, if you have insomnia, it's a great way to help with that. It's a very dry book, but on the front and back covers, there's essentially a cheat sheet of the different patterns that you can go.
Yeah, it's worth reading those 2 pages. That's what I always tell people. Go read the 2 pages that there's each of the patterns are in there, and there's a 1 or 2 sentence description of them. Read that, and then when you want to use them, then go reference the larger pattern and read the details about the pattern.
Yeah,
but the key to what this book does for you is it's talking about design patterns that when, like, let's say the factory pattern. If I talk to Julio and I say, hey, we should use a factory pattern here, now all of a sudden that's the simple conversation we need to understand a complex task that nowhere in there is language, right? He could be working in PHP, C#, Java, Python, but now we're talking broader than that. And now we immediately have context for thousands of lines of code without having to ever do anything. Right, so we've raised our discussion up a level, okay, and we've had that discussion. The other thing about this book, I'll say, is it's a recognizable book, right? If you have it on your bookshelf at work, people are like, oh, wow, you read that book, or you're using design patterns. That's awesome. And it's a great interview question, right? I mean, if I ask if you have that book, right, oh, just describe the cover for me. If you can't tell me it's got a blue stripe down the front cover and it's white, then you don't have the book. It's pretty easy to know that. And it's one of those books that gets respect, but more importantly, it creates a commonality of language and it raises you up. And so you can start implementing these patterns, or more importantly, there's generally tons of libraries, with Java, the Spring Framework provides a lot of these patterns in different ways. So you can go look them up and just use them. People have written them. so you can have immediate access to these patterns.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna switch my screen here.
Yeah, you're good.
Am I okay? I can't tell anymore. All right, so design patterns are important. Allows us to start doing that way. I will say the only so you don't have to buy another book. The only pattern that I felt was missing, if you want to share my screen again, I'm sorry, from the Gang of Four book, is the marker interface pattern. So the marker interface pattern was kind of invented after that book was written, and it's more of a newer language thing because C had multiple levels of inheritance, so they didn't really have the marker interface pattern. That's the only pattern that I love and I find very useful that's not in the book. So it saves you from having to buy another book. Every other pattern is in that book. You buy the one book, copy this Wikipedia link, and you're set for life in terms of design patterns. And I tell you this because I bought tons of design patterns books. I read them trying to learn new patterns, and I just got more and more frustrated that they all referred back to one of these patterns of the Gang of Four in some combination thereof, and it became very boring. And I started burning these other books because that was the only value I found in them, is heating my house. So, all right.
Trying to think, Brian, is there any, I think the sort of from a 5-year roadmap too, the next part that's really important is learning to build highly configurable software.
We're missing Dustin this morning.
Yeah.
Dustin, you should be here.
This is he's probably watching. Is highly configurable software. So Dustin wrote several articles about this. Brian will have the links for that in the notes that go out. But the idea here is that you don't hard code things. It's one of the really core concepts there. It's really easy to go in and just write your code, and just think about, hey, I just need to go and get this to production. Well, what if you want a testing environment? What if you want to deploy another instance of your application? Having these values that you can switch in and out dynamically is really, really essential to growing your skills and growing your application. A really good example of this is if you're familiar with .NET development, they have the web config file, and you can do transforms on it. So being able to set up your properties in this file and transform it when you build it for different environments is a really good implementation of this concept of highly configurable software. So without stealing the thunder of the articles themselves.
There's 10 of them.
Yes, there's 10 of them.
They're amazing.
They're all listed out in the notes here, so you can read those. They're really good for, again, understanding where you need to go as you build software, not just saying, hey, I'm just going to build this one instance of something. I should be able to build it so that I can swap things out and not be pigeonholed into one way of doing things.
Yeah, and highly configurable software is important because it gets into one of the other passionate things, is writing reusable software.
Yep.
The more configurable your software is, the more reusable it becomes. And honestly, the more modular and reusable your software becomes, it becomes easier to test. It's actually a lot less lines of code, right? It's more configuration. And so those are things that we want to see you doing as you mature as a software developer, right? Is reusable software, right? I'm very passionate about that. And I really started early in my career trying to figure that out. And because it adds value. But it's a lot harder than you think, because reusable software isn't, I'm copying and pasting the code over here. Copy and paste code reuse is not reuse. But truly good reusable software is something that Julio wants to use. Right? All of a sudden, you've got other people coming to you wanting to use your software. And that takes a lot of maturity in your software development skills. Everybody's going to hate me for this one, but really awesome software is just well documented. Because if you start to think about what people want, they don't want to look at your code. They just want to download it and for it to work. And for it to appear that way, then it has to be simple and easy to understand, and more importantly, well documented so they can understand it. And so reusable software is one of those things that we want you to look at in your 5-year roadmap. And then that will be, leveraging highly configurable software. And so a lot of the articles that Dustin wrote start to walk you through highly configurable software, key configuration points, and also, doing the inverses. Don't have too many configuration points, right? Because you can overwhelm yourself too. And so it's getting that right balance. And so those articles are doing that. So I would implore you to read those articles. I've personally helped to review them, so I'm well invested in them. So I can say that from a bias standpoint. And, as you do that, you're reducing the amount of code, so maintenance goes down. And so what do us developers want to do? Write code. What do we not want to do? Spend time maintaining code. Doesn't mean that, operations is important, but the less time we're maintaining, the more time we're doing new code.